Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name's Mark, and on today's video I'm making a big bar now, 7 foot 1 inches tall. The log that I'm currently doing the blocking on is silver birch, and then I attach a head and tail, and the attachments are made out of white oak. And the bar now is going to be turning in flight, sort of looking down towards the ground, and the body's got a curve to it, sort of like a C shape for the body, M for the wings. Everything's got flow and movement, and then the base is going to be big boulders. And to do the blocking out, I'm mainly going to be using the Makita 405, but the batteries died quite fast, so you see me switch over there to the MSA 200C with the 12-inch carving bar. So definitely the thing to take into account when buying electric saws. I probably wish that I bought ones that have got cables, because the batteries are like £60 each, and you need probably like 4 or 6 for that Makita chainsaw to make it like, so you could doesn't disrupt your workflow, and you can just keep working without having dead batteries. Stop it from toppling over whilst I'm working on it. That's this roof. Sorted. And then to take like the curve shape out of the wing, so I'm making like a C cut, so it's going up in at the body and higher, deeper into the wood, and then back out halfway through the wing to the tip of the wing. Is just use your tip of the bar to make your first line, and then slowly go in a bit deeper down that first line, and a bit deeper, probably go in like half an inch each time, half an inch, until you're through to the other side, and slowly work your way down. So you don't actually have to have a carving bar to do a curved cut. You just have to take your time. Just don't go all the way through and expect to be able to turn your bar with the first cut. If you're going from one side of the log to the other, use your tip and go in an inch, go down, make your first line, curved line, and go in another inch. Now you're only 2 inches into the wood, and so on until you get through to the other side, and then you'll be able to do a nice curved cut with any bar. Wings are starting to take shape, getting a nice bit of curve to them and that. And then I'm just using the bottom of the tip of the bar to scoop out the wing, so the wing's got a nice bowl shape to it, so it's like the bird's flapping its wing and it's trying to scoop the air into its wing. So yeah, I'm just using the tip of the bar to scoop it out. And then at the top I take like a wedge out of the middle of the wing to make it quicker to scoop the material out. And then I'm just using the MS 170, still MS 170 petrol saw, but I try and like refrain from using that so much, because obviously because of the neighbours, the noise from the petrol saws is a lot more, and the fumes and that, so I try and use my petrol saws as little as possible now. And just using the sander there to do the last little bit of shape, and also like clean the wing up, so I find it easier to visualise whether I'm happy with the shape of things without all the marks on it and different colours from the oil. So I just give it a quick little sand with like 40 grit or 60 grit disc on the angle grinder, just so I can visualise the shape better without all the lines and different colours and shades. I find it easier to visualise it once I give it a little sand anyway, and it's easier to draw on. So now I'm doing like a flat spot, so I can attach the head or the tail there, whichever side it's going to be. I think that's the head, yeah, and then that's the head there. So I'm cutting the head on an angle, so like I say, I want the body to be a C, so instead of having that flat angle that's already there, the 90-degree angle, I'm cutting it so it's more like a 70-degree angle. So then when I put it onto the bird, the head's looking in a bit, and then I'm going to have a bit of twist in the neck, so it's looking down a bit as well, in and down, and then the tail's going to be in. So if you were to look at the head and the tail and the body from above, it'd be like a C shape. So off camera, I've cut a flat spot there, and then planed it with the electroplaner like I did on the other eagle video. I've attached this lump of white oak. So you're playing the one piece of wood. So I've planed this piece of wood and I've planed this piece of wood. So I've planed the body and I've planed the tail, and then I'm just attached it only with screws at the minute, just so I can draw the outline, take off the excess wood. And I've done the same there. That's going to be the head. So I've already attached that and took it off only with screws, and that's where that's going to go, so you can see perfectly flat. And then I'm going to take the excess off this, curve it down like a nice tail, and then take the tail off so I can access all the wing feathers without a head or a tail in the way, and then add the head and the tail after. So I've made this as well so I can maneuver the wood a bit better like a jaw horse, and then it's at a nice working height, so it's like it's now my new carving operating table. So draw the feathers on, see how we get on. So this is going to be the body, and then I'm going to keep this bit so I can put the feet there, and it'll be a bit of the body and joining, and then around that I'm going to thin it out, taper it in to do the tail feathers. Took a bit of the bulkiness off it. That's where the feet are going to go. And then now I'm going to take them back off and then glue them on. A nice generous amount of glue on there. There you go. So I'm just adding some 120mm construction screws to clamp it down just whilst the glue dries, and then we'll remove these and we'll put dowels in after. So if you get the ones where they've got thread halfway down and then no thread like a third at the top or whatever, that'll pull this, the piece you're attaching down to the piece you want attached to. Solid. So this is the head part, so I want it to sort of be looking this way and also that way, so sort of like that. So that's how I'm going to curve it over to there. So that's basically how it's going to look. So this cut is like the angle I want the face to be looking. I keep just redrawing the face on just to make it easier to like visualize and imagine which I want the face to look. I think I just need to centralize it a bit more. I'm just going to make the forehead cut now. So Gorilla Glue, get plenty of Gorilla Glue on there, and then reattach the tail. Nice. And then I've just left the screw there sticking out a little bit, so and now I'm lining it up properly. Hopefully we don't get all this dust everywhere. It's on it. So I've lined it up at the front. There you go. Tail back on. I've just got the cut tool, donut, wood removal disc on the Erbo angle grinder to scoop out the wing and get the nice bowl shape on the inside of the wing. So I'm just using the end of like the chainsaw to again get that, scoop the material out so it looks like a nice, got that C shape, as if like when a bird's flapping its wing, it's trapping the air under its wing. And then once I was happy with the shape of the wing that I've got, start doing the small little feathers here to try and get all sorts of different, lots of different textures. So even though they're all feathers, different shape feathers, different size feathers, different looking feathers, so the bird stands out more, there's more different things going on, so it looks a bit more eye-catching. And what I wanted to do with these wings was like make them have a lot more shape to them and not so flat, more three-dimensional. Like the eagle, I'm happy with the eagle, and it's only the second bird I've done with the wings out open, and you know, I'm happy with how it turned out. But each time I want to improve, so the improvement that I went for on this one was I want the body to have a lot more movement, not so flat, so that's ended up looking like a C. I want the wings to have a lot more movement, like look at the bird from the front, the wings look like an M, and then you can put your hand in the wing like a C. So yeah, each one I try to improve on the last one. And the first 3 or 4 inside wing feathers there, I'm using the file sander because I've already glued the tail on and attached the tail on, which I said I wasn't going to do. I did do. So that's why I've had to use the file sander there, just because I couldn't get the chainsaw in there without being hindered. So as soon as I've cleared the tail, and then going on the same angle as I've done with the file sander, and then once I come to the bottom of the feather, I'm cutting a little slit from the inside of the wing to the outside of the wing, so when I rotate it and go start on the outside of the wing, I know how many feathers they are, sort of like how far apart they are, so without being able to walk around it, because the log is lying down, and inside, like if it's outside standing up, I could just walk around one side, have a quick look, walk around the other side, have a think, and whereas now I've got to rotate the whole log to look at the other side, so that's why I'm going straight through with that cut at the end, just to make my life easier when I get around to the other side to do the feathers on the back of the wing. Big barn owls coming on nicely. Head and tail have been glued on. Look at that for a join. Lovely join. And then I've made a start on this wing. So leaving these screws in, remove the screw, re-drill the hole. Just be careful not to go too far. My bird's quite fat at the back. So now I've re-drilled the screw hole to 6mm because they've got 6mm dowels, and then I'm just putting normal wood glue in there. So I don't want it to expand because that might crack the wood anyway, you know what I mean? There's like this hole, there's just enough room for the dowel with a bit of glue. That's what I think anyway. If I use Gorilla Glue, there's already more in the hole than there should be, because this dowel is 6mm, the drill bit's 6mm, and then we're already adding glue. And then if you add glue that expands like the Gorilla Glue, I just think it'd be too much. There we go. That one's doweled up, that one's doweled up. So now I can touch that with tools and do finishing touches and not damage my tools and blunt them. I'm just using the edge of the file sander to do like, to make it like I've loads of like little tiny feathers layered up on top of each other for the neck feathers, and then coming out a few little slits coming around from the face if the feathers are coming from the face and around to the neck with it. So now already you can see different feathers on the neck, different feathers on the chest, three different looking feathers on the wing. So there's already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different looking feathers. So the more different ones, the more it stands out, different textures, eye-catching. I've got a flat sanding disc on the angle grinder there just to put that last bit of shape from the body down to the legs. And then I've got a ball burr on the Makita die grinder to separate the legs, and then I'm going over the top of the ankles with it to separate the feet from the legs, just to make everything stand out more. And it's like a lovely shape for it. The ball just worked out to be like the perfect burr, and it's the same burr that I used to do the holes in the water on the eagle as well, so it's come in handy, that burr has. And then I've got the Dremel 4300 there with extreme coarse flame burr, Kutzall flame burr on there, just to separate the toes, and then put a bit more definition around the feet as well with it, to separate the feet from the tail a bit. And once I was happy with the general shape of the toes with the flame burr on there, I swapped over to the 125 Dremel 125 burr, and that just burns as you carve, so it makes the knuckle lines stand out more. And then I've got 1-inch emery cloth that I've just cut into inch size pieces and put on the Dremel, so you can sand into nooks and crannies, which I have done a video how to make sanding easier. I used that to sand the horse head that I made, the horse top off. And then I've got a carbide drum bit on the Dremel there, but it was hard to manoeuvre with the Dremel once I got that low down on the body. So I swapped over to the file sander because I could manoeuvre it easier, and then continue the chest style feathers. So sort of getting a little bit smaller as I got down to the legs, and then when I get to the legs I change feather again. So you've got your chest feathers that are different to the wing feathers, that are different to the neck feathers. So then the leg feathers, I've started using like the corner of the file sander there, so it's like the feathers look really small on the legs. So another different style of feather, different texture, different thing to stand out at your eye when you look at it. And I swapped the sandpapers over to a fine coarse, and went back over, started to go back over all the chest feathers with the finer finer grit sandpaper on there to just finish them off, and any last little bits of shaping that needed doing, and then make the surface nice and smooth, ready for paint or varnish when it comes to finishing it. It's all the chest feathers then are done, finished, nicely shaped and smooth. Then I've got the 8-inch cannon bar and file sander just to take the last bit of material out of the face so it's symmetrical. And then once I was happy that the face is all symmetrical, I've got the nose going down the middle, the beak either sides looking the same size. Put the finer coarse Kutzall flame burr in the Dremel to shape the beak, and then I drew the circles on with pencil first, and then with the fine coarse flame burr go around my pencil line, pretty much like 90 degrees to it, straight in with the end of the burr to do my first line. And then I've done like the tear ducts almost down to the beak, from the corner of the eye down to the beak there. And then once I've done the first lines around the pencil and down to the beak connecting it, then I'm going to soften all them lines so they're not all just, you've just gone straight in, and then I'll smooth over the eyes, make the eyes like a dome, and then smooth around the outside of that cut just to soften all your lines. And then got the file sander there just to make the face feathers with the file sander. I'm just making small little lines from the eye sort of down, like sort of like a little S sort of shape. And then I'm just removing the last 2 screws that I used to clamp the tail down whilst the glue dried, and replacing the screws with dowels and glue, so we've got a nice strong joint there, no metal in there that's gonna rust. And then I've just got the electric Makita chainsaw to just do the final bit of shaping on the tail and the body before I get the MSA 200C with a 12-inch carbon bar on there to put in the feathers. And that's nice white oak that I've attached there for the tail, sort of making the body curve in and then the tail pop out and around. So the bird's got loads of movement. The tails, the wings look like an M from the front. The body looks like a C as if it's turning in midair, like turning on a knife's edge. And then once I've done the shape with the Makita chainsaw and I'm happy with the shape, and I've got the 12-inch carbon bar on the still MSA 200C to put in the feathers. And just do any last little bit of shaping with the chainsaw on the feather, on the edge feathers. And then once you're happy and you've got all your feathers in there, I just swap over from the chainsaw to the angle grinder quickly with the flat disc sanding wheel on there, and just tidy up and clean up all the chainsaw marks that are left on the feathers.